Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, today is October the 14th, 2025. My name is Jennifer Grace. I'm the Public Utility Law Judge assigned to handle this matter. We're here today for case number 9748, the application of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for the Brandon Shores Retirement Mitigation Project. Let's start with appearances from the applicant.
Good morning, Judge Grace. Daniel Herson for Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, and sitting behind me, is my colleague Joel Michelle.
Good morning, Your Honor. Brent Belay, also for Baltimore Gas and Electric Company.
Good morning. PPRP.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sandra McLemore on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program.
Do we have anyone here from Constellation Energy Generation or Constellation New Energy? Do we have anyone here from the Sierra Club? The combined limited participants?
Your Honor, their attorney had a prior engagement this morning and asked to be excused for this portion of the hearing.
Yes, sir. Lester Schott. The Rosalie Schott Living Trust. Jonathan Gunter.
Present.
Thank you. David Button. Office of People's Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michael Sammartino for the Office of People's Counsel, and I'd also like to enter the appearance of Brock Miller.
Good morning. Technical staff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Dean on behalf of the staff. I'd also like to enter the appearance of Harrison Scher.
Good morning. Do we have anything that we need to take up preliminarily before we open to the BGE's case?
Your Honor, I do have a few items, if I may.
Sure.
First of all, I wanted to just mention that on October 10th, Friday, October 10th, BGE did file an update to the certification that we had filed earlier in this case, I believe in April, regarding notification to adjacent landowners. And in that letter, we explained that there are certain, I think 5 landowners who were not in the state assessment of State Department of Assessment and Taxation database information that was used to send the July letter. We added them once the state updated its information to include those particular landowners in March of 2025, and they were included as of that date on our additional communications about this project since then. I just wanted to see if you had any questions or wanted us to put anything further in the record with respect to that filing.
I did. I was going to ask if, as bench data request 1, you could just provide those 5 contacts.
Sure, I could read them to you now if you want, or I
That's
can
fine.
respond
That's fine.
in writing. You want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. One of the addresses is, I'll just do the addresses unless you want names, but typically we just do the addresses.
No, I'll take the addresses.
Okay. 2049 Watervale, Watervale Road, Fallston, Fallston, Maryland, 21047.
Okay.
The next one is 2053, same road, Watervale Road, same city, same state, same zip.
Okay.
The third one's also on Watervale Road. It's 2061 Watervale Road, same city, same state, same zip. The next one is not on the same road. It's 2084 Stewart, Stewart, or Stewart rather, Drive, Fallston, Maryland, 21047.
Okay.
And the last one is 609 W. Jarrettsville Road, Jarretsville Road. That's in Forest Hill, Forest Hill, Hill, Maryland, 21050.
And these residences you're saying were built after 2010? Or what was the date that you used?
I think there was a range that we found. It was roughly between 2021 and 2023, if I recall correctly from our letter.
2020.
Yeah, so it was near the time that we sent the letter, but the information about those addresses was not included in the state's State Department of Assessment and Taxation database information that was available when we sent the July letter. It has since been added to the state's database, and we have also updated our mailing list to include them in ours as well.
Thank you very much. Next preliminary matter?
The next matter, Your Honor, is just a bit of I know that in my correspondence to you and the parties pursuant to your order on October 10th, I had made a statement on behalf of BGE about not waiving our position by being here and kind of engaging in this matter with respect to property rights of our position that the commission, while it has broad jurisdiction to cite infrastructure projects, in our opinion, it does not have the jurisdiction to grant some of the relief that the limited interveners have asked for, namely requiring new easement language, compensation for affected landowners, and so forth. So, because that wasn't on the record officially, I just wanted to put that on the record now.
I was also going to ask as a bench data request that BGE provide its authority for that position.
Okay.
We'll add that as a bench data request 1.
Okay.
Next preliminary matter?
Sure. So the next preliminary matter has to do with the exhibits that the limited interveners identified on Friday, again pursuant to your directive, Friday, October 10th. I don't know if now you want to we can be heard on our position on the admissibility of any of those exhibits, or if you'd like to do that later, but I'm able to do that now if that's appropriate.
I intended to do that at the time that they are, that the individuals seek to admit them. However, I'm happy to hear your argument on that now, if you would prefer.
I can give you the overview and then reserve my right to do it again when they get introduced. I think as a general matter, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Okay. As a general matter, BGE is not going to object to the actual easement agreements that the individuals have proffered with respect to their individual properties. We are, however, going to object to any of the other exhibits that have been introduced, namely there's some exhibits that have to do with photographs, video, various filings that were in other filings in this proceeding, or in this case, that we do not think fall within the scope of the directive of the commission or your order, and also are inappropriate for other reasons that I won't go into now. But that's the gist of it, that the company is essentially willing to, without agreeing to the, of course, the relevance or what the easement agreements mean with respect to these issues, we're willing to stipulate as to their admission into evidence, but not the other things that have been identified by the limited interveners.
Do any of the other parties want to weigh in on that?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing from OPC, Your Honor.
I note that BGE has arranged for Tim Schneed to be an extra witness as necessary, and that's directly on point on the easement documents. Has BGE had an opportunity to compare its easement documents with those that were proffered by the limited participants?
We have, Your Honor. Our position is that the easement documents that we've provided to you are, as is stated in Mr. Sneed's affidavit, are full and complete and the relevant and only documents that really are relevant to the claims of the limited interveners here. The documents that the limited interveners have produced, some of them overlap and are the same documents that we've produced, but some of them are not complete copies. Some of the other documents are different documents. They are documents related to their easements and so forth, but in our view are not relevant to the issues that are at issue here. Nonetheless, we're willing to let them be admitted for purposes of this case.
Thank you. Any additional preliminary matters?
Yes. Speaking of Mr. Schneed, I did want to identify a couple of other potential rejoinder witnesses that we would like to reserve the right to call if that's appropriate at some point and necessary. Another individual that we may call in this case is Joel, Joel, Leininger, Leininger. Mr. Leininger is a surveyor, and we, if necessary, reserve the right to call him as a witness with respect to the allegations raised by the limited interveners. The last potential witness we may call is named Stacy, Stacy, Harmon, Harman. Ms. Harmon works for an appraisal company, and we may call her if necessary to address any claims that may arise during the course of these proceedings.
Your Honor, I object.
Okay, so we have a camera on this side. We have a podium on that side. Limited participants, if you want to make a statement, will need to approach the podium because these microphones go directly to the court reporter and it's not a part of the record unless it is registered on the microphone. So state your name, please.
My name is Jonathan Gunter, and I object.
Okay, what's your objection, Mr.
My
Gunter?
objection is BGE has easements. They know of their easements. If they wanted to have any parties to enhance on their easements, they should have been added to the witness list beforehand so we knew who was coming and could make proper rights and questions for them. Them trying to do rejoiner, they already know how their easements are worded. They've had the easements. If they haven't had the easements, they shouldn't have brought this case forward because it is up to them to prove that their easements have the rights to do this project and not to have rejoiners come back and rebuttal other things that are coming in. And us as limited interveners only have rights for the easement. So they knew questions about the easement were going to come. So if they had more people to describe the easements, have rebuttals about the easement or like that, they should have been on the witness list to begin with.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to note your objection, and we'll take it up at the time when BGE seeks to call the rejoinder witnesses if they seek to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further preliminary motions from BGE.
Sure, Your Honor. Last but not least, I think this is last but not least, I wanted to talk to you about the witness list, or rather the exhibit list that we submitted on Friday. And I wanted to let you know that I have discussed this list. It has 20 items on it. I have, pursuant to the stipulation and agreement that BGE, OPC, and PPRP entered into, and I've had discussions with Commission staff, my understanding is that the statutory parties are amenable to the stipulation, to agree to stipulate as to the admissibility of basically all of the pre-filed testimony and exhibits that have been submitted in this matter thus far. In addition to that, is my understanding that those parties are agreeable to the admission of the additional data request responses that BGE has included on this list that were not attached to the testimony of any party up to this point, but I have had discussions with them. These documents were produced in discovery to all of the main parties to this proceeding, and I have discussed with them today whether they're okay with stipulating as to the admissibility of those, and I was told yes. And so I just wanted to raise that as a preliminary matter. Oh, I forgot also the admissibility of our easement agreements that we've included on this list of it's exhibit number 6. And so with that, Your Honor, it's my understanding that the parties have agreed to stipulate as to the admissibility of all the pre-filed documents and then the additional documents that we've identified on this exhibit list. And so if you're amenable to it, I think that would help move this proceeding along because we would not have to ask each witness the direct questions to lay the foundation for each one of their pieces of testimony. We could bring them up. All of our witnesses are available to answer questions, but they would be brought on the stand and made available to answer questions immediately.
So staff is not an agreement on, is not a signatory on that agreement. Does staff have any objection to proceeding in that way?
Staff does not. Staff does not, on review of the documents, staff did not find any reason for objecting to their admissibility.
Mr. Belay, The BGE responses are in BGE Exhibit 10 and BGE Exhibit 17.
And 13, I think, Your Honor.
17 A was not transmitted to me, so I don't have any way to admit that without having seen it.
Okay, we'll have to look into that. I think we have a copy here.
Okay. Also, there are several exhibit numbers noted in your exhibit list as confidential, and they're 5A. They're given an A designation. We're going to change that to a large C designation.
Okay.
Okay?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. Thank you. Do you have exhibit stickers?
Yes.
Just so I understand, Your Honor, so each time we have a 5A, it will be a 5C, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I have for you a list of the exhibits from the parties and a list of common abbreviations. Thank you. I am going to ask, Mr. Blay, that you go through the labeling for the record, which is shorter than asking the witness the questions.
Okay.
But we'll do that when you start your case.
Okay.
Any preliminary motions from PPRP,
No, Your Honor.
OPC,
No, Your Honor.
staff?
Not a motion, Your Honor, but a question. I was contacted by a member of the public, and this concerns documents provided to the judge during the public comment hearings. They asked whether these have been added to the online public comment.
I believe that they have, but I can check on it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so I have some pre-hearing issues. PPRP, if I want to look at the latest and greatest proposed license conditions, that's going to be the number 18. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm hoping that you can answer this question without having to go into confidential session. I'd really like to not go into confidential session at all
Okay.
today. The confidential portion of PPRP's conditions and testimony, where does the requirement to keep that confidential come from? It's as to one
It,
type.
yes, it comes from, let me verify that I'm.
Okay.
The DNR's Wildlife and Heritage Service, it's a policy, a request that be done because there's, the species needs to be protected, and sometimes people seek them out.
Okay, so it's all of the species that are impacted are referred to on page 30 of the Welling Now Pacifico testimony, and that's included there. Nevertheless, PPRP is asking that remain confidential.
Yes, Your Honor. Wildlife and Heritage, that's one of the very strong asks they always ask us to do, and quite frankly, we try to get the parties to do that as well
For that one species.
for that one species.
Okay.
It's particularly desirable.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may, may I add to that?
Sure.
I believe our testimony may identify the identity of the species at issue, but doesn't identify the location.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. But I don't think PPRP conditions do either. Right?
Right. I
That's
think-
what I'm getting at. I'm not sure if PPRP conditions could be public since they don't identify a location.
Your Honor, are you requesting that we do make them public? I can go back and,
I'm just
Find
requesting
out.
that you think about it.
Okay.
You can get back to me.
thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll turn to the company for this one. The agreement, the August 29th filing of the agreement, confidential attachment C is included. Why is that confidential?
Well, that was a product of a settlement agreement, and the parties particularly wanted to keep it confidential unless the commission issues once the commission issues a CPCN, and if that CPCN incorporates the terms of the confidential attachment, it was our position that then it could become public. But for now, we wanted to keep it confidential since it was the result of confidential negotiations among the parties who were involved.
So it would become public at what point?
Once the commission issues a CPCN that adopts the terms of that agreement, the study parameters essentially that are outlined in Exhibit C, then it would become public is what we were thinking.
Okay, I will have questions for PPRP and OPC and staff on that agreement, but I think it's appropriate questions for the attorneys, not the witnesses, but I think we'll do that at the end of the hearing. This question is for BGE. COMAR 2079-0102 and 2079-0401 state that they define 01 defines a plan, a comprehensive, interrelated set of actions for meeting forecasted electric demand for the 10-year period from the date of the application. Are you familiar?
I'm familiar with that, yes.
Was that provided as a part of the application in this case?
It was not asked for, so we didn't provide it.
Okay. I assume that BGE has done a lot of the legwork for that.
I always get in trouble when I assume things, so I don't want to answer that I can't say I agree with, I can't confirm that. If it had been, our understanding of that provision is that if it's asked for, we would provide it, of course, but it hasn't been asked for. And if it is being asked for, I'm not sure how long it would take to produce that.
Okay, find out for me, please, because I intend to ask for it
Okay.
we'll call that bench DR2.
Okay.
But if there's a problem with the timing of that, please let me know.
Okay, will do, Your Honor.
I have no further pretrial issues, so we'll go ahead. BGE can present its case.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. If it's okay with you, we'll start with our exhibit list and then call our first witness after we get through that.
Yes, sir.
So just so I'm clear, do you want me to read each number out and the description, or how would you like me to proceed?
It would be helpful to identify the description of what it is and the exhibit number for the record, so it's in the transcript.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll start just for the record with BGE number 1. This was a BGE certificate. BGE exhibit number 1 were certificates of compliance and publication filed on 8/15/2025. These were offered on 8/19/2025 and admitted into the record already on 8/19/2025. The next item is BGE exhibit number 2. These are BGE certificates of publication for evening hearings for public comment filed on 4/8/2025. The next item is BGE exhibit number 3. These are BGE additional certificate of compliance filed on April 9th, 2025. The next item is BGE exhibit number 4, which is BGE additional certificates of publication for evening hearings for public comment filed on 4/22/25. BGE exhibit 5 is BGE, PPRP, and OPC Agreement and Stipulation, public version, filed on 8/29/25. BGE Exhibit 5C is BGE, PPRP, and OPC Agreement and Stipulation, confidential version, filed on 8/29/25. BGE Exhibit Number 6 is Affidavit of Timothy Schneid with easement documents related to properties of limited interveners, namely William Zink and John Zink, Trust of Dorothy Zink, Rhonda Conover, Lester Schott, and Rosalie Schott Living Trust, Jonathan Gunter, David Button, and John and Patricia Von Paris. BGE Exhibit Number 7 is BGE's application for a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, filed on 7/11/2024, July 11th, 2024. BGE Exhibit Number 8 is the direct testimony of Ratneck Hang, filed on July 11th, 2024. BGE Exhibit Number 9 is the rebuttal testimony of Ratneck Hang with exhibits, 2 exhibits, filed on 5/16/25. BGE Exhibit 9C is a confidential exhibit that was attached to the rebuttal testimony of Ratneck Hang, filed on 5/16/25. BGE Exhibit Number 10 is the BGE responses sponsored by BGE witness Hang to certain data requests not otherwise previously filed in the proceeding by any party, particularly PPRP DR 523, 525, 8.1, 8.2, and 15.1. The next item is BGE Exhibit 11, the direct testimony of Robert May with 2 exhibits, filed on July 11th, 2024. The next item is BGE Exhibit Number 12, the rebuttal testimony of Robert May, filed on 5/16/2025. The next item is BGE Exhibit 13, BGE's responses to sponsored by BGE witness May to certain data requests not otherwise previously filed in this proceeding by any party, particularly PPRP data request 519 with attachment 1. The next item is BGE Exhibit 14, the direct testimony of Eric Ye with 3 exhibits, filed on July 11th, 2024. The next item is BGE Exhibit 15, the rebuttal testimony of Eric Ye, filed on May 16th, 2025. The next item is BGE Exhibit 16, the surrebuttal testimony of Eric Ye, a public version, with Exhibit ELY4, filed on 6/13/25. The next item is BGE Exhibit 16C, which is the surrebuttal testimony of Eric Ye, the confidential CEII version, with Exhibit ELY4, filed on 6/13/2025. The next item is BGE Exhibit 17, BGE responses sponsored by BGE witness Ye to certain data requests not otherwise previously filed in this proceeding by any party, particularly PPRP data request 4.1 without attachments, PPRP 4.2 without attachments, PPRP DR 4.3 without attachments, PPRP 4.4 with attachments 1 and 2, PPRP 4.7 without attachments, PPRP 4.14, PPRP 10.1, PPRP 10.2, PPRP 10.3, and PPRP data request 11.1. The next item, Your Honor, is BGE Exhibit 17C, BGE responses sponsored by BGE witness Ye to certain data requests not otherwise provided, previously filed in this proceeding by any party. These are, I'll read them out again, but it's PPRP DR 4.1 with confidential CEI attachment 1, PPRP DR 4.2 with confidential CEII attachment 1, PPRP DR 403 with confidential CEII attachment 1, PPRP DR 407 with confidential CEII attachments 1, 2, and 3, confidential CEII PPRP data request 6.1 without attachments, confidential CEII PPRP DR 6.2, and confidential CEII PPRP DR 6-3 without attachments. The next item, Your Honor, is BGE Exhibit 18, the direct testimony of Megan Welling with Exhibit MAW1, public version, filed on 7/11/2024, which has been adopted by BGE witness Molly Pacifico. The next item, Your Honor, is BGE Exhibit 18C, which is Exhibit MAW1, a confidential version to the direct testimony of Megan Welling, which was filed on July 11th, 2024, and again adopted by BGE witness Molly Pacifico. The next item, Your Honor, is BGE Exhibit 19, the rebuttal testimony of Molly Pacifico, filed on May 16th, 2025. And last but not least is Exhibit 20, rebuttal testimony of Pamela Dopart with two exhibits, PD1 and PD2, filed on May 16th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. BGE Exhibits 1 through 20 are marked. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
BGE Exhibits 1 through 20 are admitted. PPRP, OPC, and staff, do you all want to go through your exhibits now, or would you like to do it at the start of your case?
It does not matter to me, whatever you think is most efficient, Your Honor.
No opinion?
No opinion, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead, call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. BGE calls Ratneck Hang to the stand.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. I know you just got settled, but will you stand and raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can have a seat. Your witness, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hangs, as we just went through all of this pre-filed testimony has been admitted into evidence and the exhibits related thereto, and discovery exhibits, so I have no direct questions for him, and the witness is available for questions.
Okay, the first two parties on the list, Constellation Energy Generation LLC and Constellation New Energy Incorporated. There are no attorneys here for that party, and Sierra Club, there are no attorneys here for that part. Sorry.
Apologies. I am here on behalf of Sierra Club. There was significant traffic.
You can come forward and have a seat at the table if you'd like. Does Sierra Club have any questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor. No questions right now.
Okay. I'm glad I called you even though you weren't here at the beginning of the case.
Your Honor, she should enter her appearance. So
She
it's in
should.
the record.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Do you want to go ahead and enter your appearance for the record?
Yes. Apologies again for my lateness. There was like 2 hours worth of traffic. My name is Sari Amiel, Sari, and my last name is Amiel. On behalf of Maryland Sierra Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination from the combined limited participants? Any cross-examination from Lester Schott? Any cross-examination from the Rosalie Schott Living Trust? Any cross-examination by Jonathan Gunter?
Can you state your name, title, and what you do for BGE?
Yes, my name is Ratanak Heng. My title is Director of Projects and Contracts, and I oversee the Brandon Shores Retirement Mitigation Project for BGE.
Okay, can you tell me how many currently lines are in the row from Jarrettsville to Kingsville?
So currently we have a double circuit transmission pole line between that area.
And how many circuits are on that line?
2 circuits.
There's 2 circuits?
Yes.
There's not 4 circuits. There's not 4 individual 230 circuits?
Can you repeat that?
There's not 4 individual 230 circuits currently in the row?
No, my understanding is that there's 2 230 kV circuits.
So there's 2 of them by your recollection, currently.
Yes.
And you guys and BGE is looking to enhance that to 4?
Yes, we're going to be adding a second double circuit pole line.
All right, thank you.
Any cross-examination by David Button? PPRP?
No, Your Honor.
OPC?
No cross, Your Honor.
Staff?
Staff has no questions. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning.
BGE's acquisition of a 11-acre parcel from Baltimore County related to the Batavia substation construction. What's the status of that?
So currently, we've been in negotiation with Baltimore County. We are anticipating on being able to acquire the property rights in order to perform the work. At this point, we've been in a number of discussions, and based on the discussions, we've done appraisal work, we've done assessments of what's going to be needed, and pretty much we're in the process of being able to finalize that.
So what's the time frame for that? When would that be? When is that expected to be finalized?
Hopefully by the end of this year.
On page 8 of your direct, you say the average BGE residential customer will see between $2 and $4 per month bill impact. Is that for both the overhead lines and the substation work?
Let me, if I may, Your Honor, let me
Sure.
take a look at it.
I might be able to direct you to lines.
Yep, I see it.
Okay.
Yes, that is inclusive of both the substation work as well as the transmission work.
Also at direct, at the time you filed direct, which was some time ago, you stated that you were at 30% design, level of design and engineering. Where would you say you are now?
So we have just completed, for majority of the portions of the project, 60% design, and we're progressing along the way. We do anticipate over the course of the next several months that we'll be able to get to the 90% design.
In the next couple, by the end of the year?
So the project segments, as Your Honor may have noticed, is broken out into different segments.
Yep.
So by the end of the year, we anticipate on completing, at least for one of the segments, the 90% design.
Which segment is that?
This is the portion from MDPA line all the way to the Grayston substation.
So the project needs to be completed and in service by the end of 2028, which means BGE would need to begin construction no later than the first quarter of 2026. I wonder if you wouldn't mind turning to the permits and authorization status in the application. Do you have the application in front of you?
I do have, yep.
One of the first attachments in the application is there's a table with the permits and acquisitions, or permits and, permits and acquisitions, I think. Can you tell me, are you able to tell me what the status is of all of those? Or is there another witness that would be more appropriate?
Ms. Spaulding Pacifico is more appropriate. However, in my data request response that we just recently admitted into evidence, there is a listing of different statuses.
Okay,
Or-
which data request response is that?
Yeah, let me identify that here. So this is for data requests PPRP DR 1501.
All right, give me just one moment. So that's in BG Exhibit 10, is that right?
I'm not sure if I know the exact number. Brent, if you can help confirm.
I believe it is.
Yes, Your Honor, that's BGE Exhibit 10, so it's PPRP 15-1, which we marked as BGE Exhibit 10.
Okay, so this response date is July 29th, 2025, and we're in October. do you want to take a look at these and see if there's anything that you can update within this data response?
We could certainly go back and provide a more updated, recent to today's date.
Council, I'm not going to add that to bench data requests.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, did you say?
I'm not going
you
to
are
add
not?
that to
Okay.
bench data requests. Also in your testimony, there have been several updates regarding meeting with the Maryland State Park Service about Gunpowder Falls State Park and the Deer Creek River crossing. What's the latest on that?
So we have been in discussion with them as well, and for the most part, all of the requirements as it relates to communication, as it relates to any other safety that we have to consider as part of the project, we're fully confident that we'll be able to incorporate them into the project, and any terms and condition as it relates to the PPRP stipulations as well. We're working to incorporate those into our project planning as well.
In your rebuttal testimony, you address license conditions, PPRP license conditions, 6, 7, 10, 11B, 18B, 24, 25, 26, 28, 30, 35, 36, 45. And then in PPRP testimony, they respond, I now have PPRP Exhibit 19, which I think is the latest PPRP conditions. The rebuttal testimony and your specific testimony regarding those conditions, are you satisfied with the final PPRP conditions?
Yes, I am. I do appreciate PPRP working with us. As noted in my rebuttal testimony, the primary purpose of modifying the conditions was really to allow us to make sure that we can maintain to the project schedule. And to the extent where any conditions are required, it's limited to the areas that are affected. And in that case, being able to limit that, we're able to continue the project and make sure that, ultimately we can complete the project on time and limit the impact of the significant RMR.
Okay, thank you. In your rebuttal at page 8, you talk about the Maryland Transportation Authority right-of-way. Can you tell me what the status is of that?
Yeah, certainly. We've been in discussion with MDTA as well, and internally we have made an assessment on what's going to be required in order to offer and provide to MDTA so that we can ultimately reacquire the rights. And we have reached out to MDTA and expect to have a conversation and negotiate based on our assessment of what's appropriate and fair for that particular parcel. At this point, hopefully by the end of this month or in the next several weeks, we'll be able to proceed with that negotiation. I would note that, based on my understanding, we don't have any concerns on being able to reacquire that particular parcel. Alternatively, we've also looked into a couple of other options in the event that that doesn't go, but at this point, there's no reason for me to believe why we're not able to reacquire that particular parcel of land.
How about the new pole located next to the Geneva Farm golf course?
Yes, we've also been in discussion with that particular customer, and from the last I checked, we have addressed and they've not expressed any concerns.
Okay. There are over 200 public comments filed in this case. Have you been staying up to date on reviewing the public comments?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Delegates have asked that BGE be required to make offers to purchase homes within 200 feet of the right-of-way. What is BGE's response to that?
Yeah, our position is that the right-of-way that we've been maintaining and own either through easements or in fee, we believe that we have the rights to perform the work, and the property values, shouldn't be affected, or, there's been a lot of research and there's minimal effect on property value. I don't think it's appropriate to, at this point to require the company to purchase.
How many schools are within 200 feet of the right-of-way?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I do recall that is mentioned in Ms. Pacifico's testimony.
Delegates, more than one public comment has requested that BGE be required to reroute the lines away from schools or to fund the school's relocation. What is BGE's response to that?
I don't think that is appropriate given, the timing at which we need to complete the project, as well as the potential for, pretty substantial costs in order to reroute the circuit at this point of the project. We have completed, through our design process, substantial amount of design work, and if we were to make any modifications at that point to reroute the project, I would be very concerned about the ability to be able to meet the project timeline of 2028, December 31st, 2028, and avoid pretty substantial costly RMR costs that would be bared by, most of Maryland, most or all of Maryland.
If I have questions about undergrounding, I think I should probably be asking BGE witness May. Is that correct?
He's certainly our expert on that, but that is something we have also taken a look at, and it, a number of factors have suggested why that's not the appropriate solution. First one being it's very expensive. As noted in his testimony, you're talking about 5 to 10 times the cost. And more importantly, it would take a substantial amount of time, effort, as well as environmental impact in order to, utilize that solution as an alternative.
Another concern contained in many of the public comments is about wildfires. And I know there was, at some point, a disagreement with PPRP regarding vegetation maintenance. And but what is BGE doing to prevent wildfires with the increased capacity?
Yeah, so we have a fairly robust routine vegetation management program. And that program, there's a number of things that gets done in terms of removing vegetation within the right-of-way, maintaining IVRs or herbicide treatments as needed, mowing, etc. We also have, as noted in Mr. May's testimony, several routine inspection, whether it's done on a 5-year basis, a helicopter inspection or a drone inspection, as well as a patrol inspection as well. So between all the different routine, proactive vegetation management and other operations and maintenance activity that we perform, I feel pretty confident that wildfire specific to this project and within the BGE jurisdiction is not an issue.
If I have more specific questions about vegetation management, who should I ask? Which witness?
Mr. May would be the appropriate witness.
Senator Jennings, in a comment, mentioned reference to summer BGE communications with customers about the potential for blackouts. Do you recall reading that public comment?
I do recall it. I can try to pull it up if you were referencing a specific language.
Well, what was the cause of the 2 summer BGE communications regarding blackouts?
Unfortunately, I don't recall those specific events.
Is there another witness that I can ask that question?
I believe Mr. May be the right witness.
It seems that some of the public comments believe that what's driving BGE to propose this project is data centers. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. As noted by PJM as well as our witness Eric Ye, the primary driver for this project is because of the retirement of the Brandon Shores power plant. And you're talking about 1.3 megawatts of generation that's going to be going offline. And once that occurs, it does create a fairly significant reliability issue on the transmission system. As noted in his testimony, there's a number of, power flow issue in addition to the significant voltage violation that PJM has identified. And that's really the primary driver of this project.
The application at 15 states that if sites cannot be accessed by crane, helicopters may be used, and there's also a reference to helicopter use for the installation of pulling lines. How many days or months of helicopter use are we talking about?
At this point of the project, our preference and how we've planned it is to utilize cranes as opposed to helicopters. So it really depends on exactly the circumstances and how much of a schedule recovery we have to perform. But based on the preliminary planning and a lot of the project work that our team has done, we believe that we can perform this work without helicopters. However, there is a outage requirement that we have to adhere to. We have submitted a substantial amount of outages with PJM to the extent where we get outage information back from PJM that requires us to either shorten the duration of the activities. That could require potentially the need to use helicopters. So at this point, I wouldn't be able to answer precisely because we haven't gotten that far along in the project to be able to know.
Do you know which segments helicopter use would be likely to be used in?
I would say it could be in any of the segments at this point. It really depends on the specific outage requirements that we have and whether we're able to accommodate the schedule based on those requirements.
Staff testimony states that that no planned outages would be necessary for the construction of all of these segments. Is that correct?
So I think outages is maybe confused in terms of taking customer out or having no power. For the work that we're doing on this particular project, there will be switching that is required in our substation and transmission facilities. Those stations, when I refer to the word outages, those switching when I refer to outages are not the same as what a typical customers may think when they're thinking about outages, which is no power. At this point of the project planning, we believe that there's not going to be a situation where outages are going to be required in terms of, taking power out so that the customers won't have any access to power at that point.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions for this witness. Do you have redirect?
I didn't, Your Honor, but I was just going to try to help with one of the questions you had
Sure.
about Brandon Shores. I think you were asking about some summer communications, and I didn't know if perhaps you were asking about the what I'll characterize as sort of an emergency event that occurred over the summer involving the Brandon Shores power plant that required some communications to customers.
I was, yes. I didn't know if there was a witness where I could answer that question in the record for some of the public comments that have been received.
I just figured I'd offer that to see if that might refresh Mr. Heng's.
Yeah, that
Recollection.
does. I apologize for not being able to pick up that was the incident that you were referring to. So could you ask that question again?
Well, I was trying to ask an open-ended question saying what caused the potential for blackouts that BGE felt it had to warn its customers about this summer.
Oh, yes. So essentially, my recollection and understanding of the event was there were a number of insulators that had some reliability issues and was causing, the insulators to track and essentially fail. The team has since investigated it and identified the cause and have gone out and remediate the insulators by cleaning it. So there were concerns, as you can imagine, with the retirement of the plan, as Mr. Ye had indicated, without Brandon Shores being online, we can be faced with a situation where load would have to be dropped, or, in essence, I talked about power outages. We would have to ultimately create these outages in order to maintain the stability of the system, which is part of the reason why this project is important, because when that had occurred, there certainly was a condition that the company was looking at, as well as PJM, that could result in a situation where we would need to take load off the system in order to maintain the integrity of the transmission grid. And that would have occurred, during peak conditions, which, during that time, there were a couple of periods where the conditions could have been met. So we thought it would be appropriate and proactive in order to communicate and provide that level of understanding to the customers who could potentially be affected.
Any further redirect?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you for your appearance this morning. You can have a seat. Next witness, BGE.
Okay. And Mr. Heng is dismissed, is that
Yes.
correct? Thank you. Oh, thanks. Next witness for BGE is Mr. Eric Ye.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You can have a seat. Your witness, Mr. Belay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ye's pre-filed testimony and exhibits have already been admitted into the record, as well as the additional data requests that he sponsored, so I do not have any direct questions for Mr. Ye, and he is available for cross.
Can you state your full name?
My full name's Eric Ye.
And how are you employed?
I'm the senior manager at Exelon for transmission regional planning for the Mid-Atlantic South Exelon companies.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Sierra Club?
No, Your Honor.
Combined limited participants? Lester Schott, Rosalie Schott Living Trust, Jonathan Gunter,
Good morning. We heard from the previous witness that there are 2 double circuit lines currently in the row. Is that correct?
What he said is correct, yes.
Okay. Would you consider a double circuit, each circuit being a singular transmission line?
It depends on the context that you're asking, whether it's from a physical perspective or from the corridor perspective or electrically power flow, any number of those contexts. So depends on what you mean.
Would you know what was originally in the row back in, let's say, 2000?
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
Do you know what was originally in the row in 2000? What kind of transmission?
In the right of way, it's as Ratnick described.
Back in 2000.
2000. I believe there was either 1 or 2 230 kV circuits on a 230 kV tower line within the right of way.
So on these lattice lines, there was not one circuit singular running through those lattice lines?
I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly the date that the single tower line that originally exists was replaced with a double circuit tower line.
Okay. So that was in 2016. So, and then after 2016, they moved that single circuit to the monopole. After that, did they add more lines to it?
After after the double circuit tower line was built, that was the completion of that particular project.
But at that point, the double circuit was not on there. It was only the singular circuit that was originally in the row, correct?
I'm sorry,
that-
can you repeat the timeline again?
2016. So they moved the single circuit to the monopole and then added a second single circuit.
Okay, yes, that's correct.
And then in 2020, they added the double circuits to both of those singular circuits.
Your Honor, I am going to object to this. Mr. Ye's already answered this question, and now the questioner is actually testifying.
Can you ask the question that you want to ask in the form of a question, please?
Was the singular line updated in 2020 to a double line?
In 2020,
Yes. When helicopters were in the row working on the lines, would that be around the time frame?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact date, but at a certain point in time, the double circuit tower line, as Ratneck has mentioned, was built.
Okay. How many times in the row since 2000 has the circuit been upgraded?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, sir.
Okay. So currently, with a double circuit, they were single circuits to begin with, and then they got transferred into double circuits, correct?
If you're talking electrically from a power flow and operation standpoint, what is currently out there today is two circuits, two 230 kV circuits within that right of way.
Okay. Why would the additional lines that were added in 2020 be needed if there were two circuits already there?
It depends on what you mean by needed. Certainly, with respect to PJM planning criteria as well as Exelon planning criteria, we simulate a multitude of failure conditions. Some of those conditions are multiple circuit outages. Some of those conditions are double circuit tower outages. All of these are included in what we study. So it could be for reliability purposes. These are planning considerations that we look at.
Okay. Thank you.
David Button, PPRP,
No questions, Your Honor.
OPC,
No cross, Your Honor.
staff.
Staff has no questions for this witness. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What are reliability must-run RMR costs?
I believe we've given that within Ratneck Hen's testimony, which unfortunately I don't have in front of me.
So I've seen it in testimony, but I'm asking you.
Oh, in terms of what they are in general,
Yes.
Your Honor. Okay, yeah. For this particular case, when PGM studied the deactivation of the Brandon Shores units, the reliability conditions that they studied showed extreme reliability issues, all the way up to very, very severe voltage violations. Because of that, the mitigations that we worked with PGM on determining and then wanting to execute will not be completed in time compared to the originally determined or sought after deactivation timeframe of the generating units, which I believe was initially June 1st, 2025. And because of that, the reliability must run status was required to keep the units available to maintain the reliability of the system.
Are you able to describe PJM's cost allocation methodology?
They utilize certainly defects and other methodologies to determine which parts of the system are most responsible for particular costs that is incurred.
And so I think that's why, in your direct testimony, you say that BGE customers would have to pay the most, 74%?
That is correct. Where the Brandon Shores units are within the system, the BGE territory is quite central to the reliability issue.
So why is the project as proposed the most cost-effective means that BGE developed?
A good question, Your Honor. Really, when you lose almost 1,300 megawatts, the megawatts have to be accounted for or have to be made up somewhere on the system. When you take a look at PJM and what they have determined that most of those megawatts would be made up with generation that's north of the BGE territory. What that really requires us to do is make more additional connections in transmission system to the north to allow those megawatts to flow into and around our territory. Within this, we found locations on our system that really utilize the right-of-way that we have and the connections that we have to the northern territories to essentially accommodate that within what we have available.
Okay. Why is using the right-of-way more cost-effective?
Then it lessens the impacts that we have. We already maintain the right-of-ways that we have. It allows us to have access to we already own the real estate or provisions to build what we need to build, and it's close to transmission substations that are already built on the system to connect us to the north further.
So the overhead transmission work, the estimated cost right now, plus or minus a good portion of percentage, is $350 million. And the overhead transmission work plus the substation work, the cost estimate right now is $1.1 billion. Can I do just simple lawyer math to work out those percentages?
Those are the costs that were provided.
Does BGE intend to use competitive bidding?
I would need to rely on my team to be able to answer that. I just know how this was planned.
In your direct at page 13, you start to talk about non-wires alternatives and grid enhancing technologies.
That's correct.
What did BGE consider as alternatives?
We've considered a number of different routings of the transmission lines that were discussed at further length in Mr. May's testimony. We considered a number of different connection points up north of the BGE territory in which we could connect to. We also considered a number of different locations on our BGE system where we have enough space in the land we already owned for reactive resources. Within what you see on page 13, we considered the use of high temperature, low sag, advanced conductor technology on portions of the transmission that we were building, and we did find an opportunity to utilize those advanced conductors on the Batavia to Riverside 230 kV conductoring. We also did look into a large battery energy storage system solution as a non-wireless alternative to all of the transmission work. There's a number of benefits that build out would provide to the system, but ultimately we determined it was inadequate to solve all the things we were looking for, including executability, the time frame that would be needed to be put in service relative to our project that we are pursuing. The BESS solution was also considerably expensive, more expensive as well. And lastly, there were also other serious issues with respect to charging of the battery system. When it's in its charging period, it would further tax the system and cause additional reliability issues that would need to be resolved on top of the system itself. So ultimately, batteries do bring a lot of good to the system, but for the level of severity of the issues at hand, the solution that we propose is the best.
And combining the battery energy storage system with grid enhancing technologies as a solution, as an alternative solution, using both of those things did not alleviate the the flaws that you just described?
Yeah, that is correct. The battery energy system did not solve all of the reliability issues that we identified. If we continue to use some, on top of that, continue to use some of the advanced technologies that we talked about, there would still be contingency concerns when those particular facilities that were upgraded would be taken out of service that we simulate. So altogether, it did not solve all the reliability issues that were identified.
Is the BESS and grid enhancing technologies issues solution cheaper than the transmission line?
We included that from what I remember. The BESS solution was more expensive.
Is that analysis, that cost analysis, anywhere in the record?
I believe it's in the DR responses that we submitted to evidence earlier.
Counsel, do you know where that is?
Yes, Your Honor, if you give me a minute. It would probably be in Exhibit 17, BGE responses, sponsored by, and 17C. Within the various responses there, I don't know the exact one off the top of my head, but I can find it if you'd like. We did include copies of the outside consultant studies that we had done, which includes feasibility study, which includes cost estimates for the BESS solutions that were looked at. I believe Mr. Ye also somewhere in his testimony generally discusses the costs implications of the batteries.
I think you're referring to PPRP data request 4-7. Let me have just one moment, please. I just received BGE Exhibit 17C this morning, so I've not had an opportunity. It's a little bit thick. If this witness is local, could we reserve the ability to recall him if I have questions?
Of course, Your Honor.
I'll try to get to that at lunch. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ye. I don't have any further questions. Counsel, do you have any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you for your appearance this morning.
Your Honor.
So Mr. Ye can be released as far as he doesn't need to be in the hearing room if he doesn't need to be, but I may need to revisit questions at a later date.
I understand. Thank you, Your Honor. We'll make sure he's available when you need him.
Thank you. Next witness for BGE.
We need to do. Okay. Sorry, we just need to do a little seat switching, and we'll be right with you.
Sure, take your time.
Good morning, Your Honor. Joel Michelle on behalf of BGE.
Good morning.
BGE calls as its next witness Molly Pacifico.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear from under penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, Mrs. Pacifico's rebuttal testimony, as well as the direct testimony of Megan Welling, which Ms. Pacifico has adopted, has already been entered into the evidentiary record. I have no additional direct questions for the witness. She's available for cross.
Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Yes. Molly Pacifico.
And what is your, how are you employed?
I am a technical manager of permitting and siting at McCormick Taylor.
All right, thank you very much. Sierra Club, do you have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Combined limited participants, Lester Schott, Rosalie Schott Living Trust, Jonathan Gunter, David Button, PPRP,
No, Your Honor.
OPC,
No cross, Your Honor.
staff.
Staff has no questions. Thank you very much.
Ms. Pacifico, how many schools are near the right-of-way?
Based on the data we had at the time in our environmental review document, I have about 5 high schools within 1 mile of the Grace and Batavia segment and 16 public schools within 1 mile of the Batavia to Riverside segment. There are no other schools were identified within 1 mile of the other segments.
In your rebuttal, you addressed 3 of PPRP's license conditions. And some of those PPRP changed and some they didn't. However, later in the docket, there's a PPRP Exhibit 19, which is I think their final license conditions. Have all of your concerns been addressed in PPRP 19?
Yes, they have, Your Honor.
I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no redirect, and may the witness be excused.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Mr. Heng is able to address one of your questions. You asked Mr. Ye about competitive bidding, and so we're happy to recall him if you would like to ask that question.
Thank you. Give me just one moment. I don't need that question answered.
Okay, we'll move on to our next witness then, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. BGE calls Robert May.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm under penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Can you state your full name for the record, please, once you sit down?
Sure. My name is Robert May.
And how are you employed?
I'm a principal engineer in BGE's Transmission Engineering Design and Standards Unit.
Thank you. BGE?
Thank you, Judge Grace. Since Mr. May's testimonies and exhibits have already been entered into the record, he is available for questioning.
Any cross from Sierra Club?
No cross, Your Honor.
Combined limited participants? Lester Schott, Rosalie Schott Living Trust, Jonathan Gunter, David Button, PPRP? No cross. OPC?
No cross, Your Honor.
And staff?
Staff has no questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, in your direct at page 4, you say BGE anticipates that the final design and engineering work will be completed no later than third quarter 2025. We're past that, but an earlier witness said in a few months we'll be at 90% on one of the segments and that we're at 60% on the others. When do you anticipate being at 90% on all of the segments?
90% completion should be shortly after the new year, most likely in Q1 for the majority of the line. There will be some segments that will be a little delayed in the engineering further into 2026.
Okay, and this delay of engineering has nothing to do with the length of this case before the Public Service Commission?
That's correct, yes.
You state in your testimony that the project features are subject to change based on future design phases and the standard practices of BGE's applicable contractor of choice. When would those changes be made in full? When would the last of those changes be possible?
Can you point me to the section so that I can reference that, please?
I might be able to. You're direct at page 4, lines 8 through 10. That's the first half of that quote.
I believe most of that's been covered already. As you pointed out, this testimony was prepared in July of 2024, so I believe everything's been worked out for the most part.
Okay. Can you explain the use of matting to minimize temporary effects on wetlands?
Sure, matting is used to spread the loads out from vehicles that are necessary for the construction of the project. Instead of a piece of heavy equipment resting just on its tires, that load is spread across the area of the mat and alleviates some of the compression into the soils.
What type of matting is used?
Typically it's a wood mat, but we have also used composite matting.
Okay, and are those mats picked up and put down as the trucks are there, or are they left there for the duration of the work on that segment?
They're generally left for the duration of the work on that segment.
The new structures are between 65 and 175 feet tall with an average of 124 feet tall. How tall are the current structures?
I believe I addressed this in my direct testimony. If you give me a minute, I can look. And do you have a specific segment of the project, or are you speaking in general?
Well, that's in general. That was your general statement. I'm looking for 65 to 175 feet with an average of 124 feet. I'm looking, I guess, for an average now.
So a lot of it depends on which segment. In our PA line to Grayston segment, the existing structures are 76 to 131 feet with an average height of 90 feet. In Grayston to Batavia segment, the long segment of the line, that's where they range from 55 to 165 feet with an average of 124 feet. And then in our segment from Batavia to Riverside, the existing lattice towers are anywhere from 97 feet to 168 feet with an average of 114.
Can you tell me, are you reading from your testimony?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell me where you are?
Sure, I am. I'm in page 5, and specifically lines 12 for the state line to Grayston. Then on page 6, line 4 for Grayston to Batavia. And then for Batavia Road to Riverside, it's on page 7, beginning on line 10.
Okay. I think you stated, I think this was you. This might not be. If this is not you, let me know. The framing configuration for both the Grayston to Maryland, PA and the Grayston to Batavia segments will account for avian clearance per BGE standard practice. Cone-shaped pole tops to deter avian nesting will be installed on these segments as well. Was that you?
Yes.
Why just those two segments?
Because those are the only segments receiving new structures. The Solly Road transmission line cut-ins will also receive that, but there are very few structures there, and we don't have a history of avian interference in that area.
Okay, so those two structures will not have those.
Well, that has become a standard for us, Your Honor, so that will be applied everywhere on the project, everywhere that's receiving new structures.
Okay. Application at page 15 says if sites cannot be accessed by crane, helicopters may be used. I think you were in the hearing room this morning when you heard questions to other witnesses, but tell me about the extent of helicopter use that's currently in the plans.
I believe it's going to be extremely limited for this project. The pole sections will be too heavy to erect with helicopters. The only vision that we have at this point for helicopter usage would be for conductor stringing operations, where they would pull in the lead line that would then allow them to pull in the conductors behind it, and possibly for some punch list inspection items before the project is fully released.
So when we say extremely limited, those were your words, what does that mean? Can you quantify that in days or during a month period or?
It's going to be very hard to define that. The conductor stringing operations are going to be relatively quick compared to the erection of all the structures that will be necessary. It also depends a lot on how the contractors are planning to execute, whether they're going to build a small segment and then string conductor and then build a small segment and string conductor, if they're going to build it all out and then string all the conductor at one time. Those types of plans have not been finalized yet, but it will be limited is really the best word I can use to describe it, because it's not going to be nearly as extensive as previous helicopter usage in this corridor that I believe some people have filed public comments about.
So your RPM 1 is an alternative routes analysis. And I think you're also the witness for undergrounding. Why was this route and this project selected?
So this route was selected because it was the most economical, made best use of existing BGE rights, optimized the use of the existing transmission corridors, provided for the easiest connectivity into existing and proposed substations. As far as underground is concerned, we reviewed underground both early during the route alternative study and then again as was provided in PPRP DR 519, which was one of the exhibits entered into evidence. We performed a more detailed underground route study that further refined a lot of the technical basis to support undergrounding is not the most preferred option for this project.
Are you so Baltimore County Councilman David Marks referred in a public comment to a 350-mile transmission line undergrounding between Mason City, Iowa and Yorkville, Illinois. Are you aware of that project?
I'm slightly aware of that.
Is that project similar to the project that we have here?
No, that project is completely different.
How?
That project is a high voltage direct current HVDC project. HVDC is a completely different technology. It's used for different applications and more prominently used for long distance transmission. That particular project, I believe, is 350 miles or 350 kilometers. I can't remember the units, as opposed to our much, much shorter project.
And you said that the undergrounding analysis done or option was is contained in PPRP data request 519?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So other public comments have suggested that short portions of the project could be done underground, specifically in parkland, in rural areas that could act as wildfire corridors, near residences, and in areas where there's a lack of public water. Why is that not a part of the project?
Well, the same unit costs on a per mile basis would apply whether it's for the overall 29 miles between Grayston and Batavia or it's 1 mile short undergrounding options. In addition, if we were to have to convert the line to underground in a small area, we would build the overhead line to that point. We would need approximately 1 to 2 acres next to the right-of-way in order to convert that line from overhead to underground in what we call a terminal station. And then again at the other end where we were to convert it back to overhead in another 1 to 2 acre terminal station. If that land is not seated adjoining the right-of-way, then we would need to extend the overhead line off of the right-of-way to then intercept that parcel that we could find to make that transition.
And was that an option that BGE looked at?
It was something evaluated, but again, dismissed because of the cost and complexity.
When we say evaluated but dismissed, was it like folks showed up at a board meeting and we said, hey, we could do this? Nah. Or was it something where like there was actually a study conducted?
There was no study done, but it was done with some technical rigor in a meeting.
Okay. Tell me about fencing. Is it just the substations that are going to have fencing, or are there other portions that are going to have fencing? Tell me about temporary fencing during construction. And be detailed, please. Like how high are we going to have screening? What are the 3 county codes on the subjects? Tell me about fencing.
Unfortunately, I'm not an expert on substation fencing, but substations will be the only locations that will be fenced in. They have moved into high security fencing on the order of 10 feet. It is an expanded metal fence. We're not using chain link fencing for these locations. I'm not sure if I addressed all your
Can you
questions.
see through expanded metal fencing?
Just
I'm
very,
not sure I understand what
just-
you're referring to.
Just a little bit. Expanded metal fencing has very small holes in it. It's not chain link where you have large gaps that's just made of wire. It's essentially a sheet metal panel that then has slits cut into it to allow air to flow through it.
I believe I also read elsewhere, I think it's in PPRP's testimony, that there may be some temporary fencing put up in the parks to discourage folks, maybe equestrian usage of one of these areas?
I'm not familiar with that specifically, but I can imagine there will be temporary construction fencing similar to the orange construction fencing. There'll be silt fencing that'll be used in the limits of disturbance to secure the project site, make sure that the pedestrians and the public don't interfere with potential obstacles on the right-of-way and be exposed to those types of tripping hazards.
Okay, so right-of-way maintenance. Are you the appropriate witness for that?
I can speak to that, yes, Your Honor.
So tree trimmings on a 5-year cycle, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
What about vegetation management?
It's the same 5-year cycle.
What about mowing and mulching and removal of debris?
I'm not exactly sure what the cycle is for vegetation management for mowing, but I believe they monitor and manage the rights-of-way holistically, so all of that is taken care of at one time. That's my understanding.
Do you know if herbicides are used?
They're used selectively, is my understanding as well.
There was a disagreement at the rebuttal phase with PPRP about ground coverage and how tall it can be allowed to be. Are you the correct witness for that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, public comments has said, hey, lines this big are a fire risk, right? Especially like a corridor of lines this big. And they've also expressed concern about areas where there's no public water. So there's fire risk. And then we have that disagreement with PPRP about the height of the vegetation and how high it can be. And I think the latest PPRP conditions 19 went with PPRP and that they're a little bit higher for the ground nesting birds than BGE had originally hoped for fire safety. So where are we with that? How can I feel assured and how can the public feel assured that we're not creating a fire risk?
I addressed some of that in my rebuttal testimony, if you give me a minute, please. So in my rebuttal testimony on page 8, beginning at line 19, this addresses PPRP revised recommended licensing condition 14A, which is, I believe, the one Your Honor's referring to,
Yes.
over grass heights. So the recommendation that we had put forward to reduce that height was just out of an abundance of caution. We discussed matting earlier in my testimony, and most of the limits of disturbance will likely be matted, so there won't even be grass for which the vehicles can rest on. But it was mainly a concern or a way to address concerns over wildfire risk with vehicles idling on the right-of-way and potentially beginning a small brush fire.
Okay, I understand that, but I think the public have a concern in general that there's a wildfire potential from the increased voltage of this project, right? So what would you tell someone from the public with that concern?
Well, as witness Heng expressed, we have a very detailed inspection program, both on the overhead assets and on vegetation, where we try and limit the amount of combustible materials on the right-of-way. We assess all of the line hardware to make sure that there's no risk of anything falling that could create an ignition source for a fire. The specific condition that was addressed in the licensing condition was mainly around the construction time frame and not during long-term use of the right-of-way.
I understand. I guess my question is, vegetation management and tree trimming occurs every 5 years. Let me tell you, my backyard, my neighbor's backyard vegetation can take over 5 feet of my backyard in a month. So, and there are areas where you're reclaiming parts of the ROW, right? Because it hasn't been used and it's completely overgrown. And apparently that takes place even on a 5-year cycle. So I'm wanting to understand how BGE is going to maintain these areas going forward.
I may have misstated earlier. I believe mowing occurs on a twice-a-year cycle, but the tree trimming and clearing occurs on the longer cycle.
At some point, the testimony happened a while ago. At some point, there was a question about whether there were going to be new permanent access routes or significantly modified or upgraded access routes. What is the current state of that?
I don't believe we will be adding any new permanent access roads. As the majority of the project is on existing right-of-way, we'll be using existing access points and temporary matting to create the necessary access for the construction site.
Are we at the point where we know for certain what laydown areas outside of the right-of-way are necessary?
No, we're not, Your Honor.
When would that decision be finalized?
A lot of that will depend on what our contractor can secure and available lands that BG may already have in the area. Certainly before material delivery, so it'll be probably in the early part of 2026 when we identify and secure those laydown areas.
How close do those laydown areas need to be to the work that's being performed?
It depends. The closer they are, obviously, the easier it is to haul material to the site, but it all depends on what land we can find.
Can you quantify the amount of traffic increase there will be during construction?
I don't think I can provide a number or quantity, but it will be relatively minimal during construction. Probably, and I'm supposing at this point, several construction vehicles, crane, concrete trucks in and out of the right-of-way during construction activities in a particular area, and then they'll disappear for a little while the construction crews move elsewhere.
So, I'm a neighbor, and I want to have an idea of what's happening in my neighborhood. And I get a door hang from BGE, and the door hang says, hey, we're going to be putting in a new tower over the next, I don't know. I don't know what the door hang's going to say, so that's my question. But my follow-up question is, can you describe a construction activity and then tell me how many trucks are necessary for that construction activity and for how long?
So for example, setting a structure, there'll be an activity to auger and pour the foundation. So there'll be an auger truck, several crew trucks on site for the workers.
Several meaning?
3, 4, something on that order, not 30 or 40,
Okay.
As far as order of magnitude is concerned. Then there'll be concrete deliveries that'll be coming in. They'll be staged so that we can maintain a continuous pour for the foundation. So there could be a couple of them waiting their turn to deliver concrete before they leave the site. Delivering the structure will require a couple of flatbed trucks, depending on how many pole segments are in that particular structure. The crane needed to erect them will need to be put on site. And then the equipment needed to frame the structure to hold the conductors. Then it'll just be, again, a few small trucks, a couple of buckets in order to string the conductors in and attach them to the insulators before we're finished demobilizing from the site.
So will a member of the public know that they should expect trucks for the next month or for the next week? Or what will a member of the public, a neighbor, know?
They will hopefully know that we'll be working in that area in a particular month time frame and what activities will be there. But we will also be redirecting them to our website and our call center for additional information specific to their location.
Okay, and how specific will the information on the website and the call center be?
I don't know that.
How did you calculate the minimum conductor to ground clearances?
We utilize the National Electrical Safety Code requirements as a bare minimum. We have added additional clearance margin on top of that, accounting for variations during construction when the conductor is strung into position, and applied a buffer on top of that for long-term consideration of things that may occur under the right-of-way without our knowledge to provide additional safety measures.
Okay. What are air bridges?
I apologize, I did not know the answer to that.
I think it has to do with gas lines in the right-of-way.
I recall that from the context of the gas lines, but I don't know the specific technical aspects of what an air bridge is. I think its use though is to avoid compressive loads from the vehicles on top of the gas main, whatever gas line might be under there, so that it gives the ability of the truck to drive over without creating any kind of issue with the gas main underneath.
Where in the project are there gas lines underneath the ground? Do you know?
Not the specifics, no, but there are several BGE small gas lines. I think there is some gas transmission mains in the area of Maryland Route 43. I believe there's also a third-party gas line from Colonial Pipeline or Columbia Gas that transects the right-of-way as well.
In your rebuttal, I think you address several license conditions.
Yes, sir.
PPRP Exhibit 19, I think, is the final license conditions in this case. Do you feel like your concerns have been adequately addressed in that document?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for this witness. Counsel, do you have any redirect?
Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of
Sure.
redirect, Your Honor. Mr. May, do you recall Judge Grace at one point in her questioning was asking you about substation fencing?
Yes, I do.
And I think you responded that I don't know if you responded or Judge Grace stated it would be 10 feet high.
I believe I
Does
stated.
that sound right?
Yes.
And also that it might not be see-through. Is
It
that
will,
correct?
that is what I said. It will not be as see-through as chain link. There will be small perforations in it to allow air to flow through it, but it will not be completely solid either.
Okay, can you explain why fencing around substations would be 10 feet tall and why it would not be completely see-through? Is there a reason for that in your understanding?
Well, we do not want it to be chain link because chain link does not meet our standards for the high security substation fencing. We want to have airflow around the substation and through the substation, so we maintain the small holes in it to allow the airflow, and provide some visibility so somebody that's an authorized person entering the substation can at least see what is behind and what's going on for safety purposes.
Okay, thank you. Switching gears, you referenced PPRP DR 519. Are you familiar with that response?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a copy of that with you up there?
Yes, I do.
Can you pull that out real quick?
Counsel, what exhibit is that?
That is part of Exhibit 13. Actually, I think it's the entirety of Exhibit 13.
Okay, I'm with you.
I have a copy.
I got it.
Okay. Mr. May, do you have that response?
Yes, I do.
And you sponsored this response, correct?
That's correct.
I wanted to direct your attention to the second paragraph in the response. It says, as detailed in attachment RPM-1 to the direct testimony of Robert P. May. Do you see that?
Yes.
What is that attachment RPM-1?
RPM-1 is the alternate route study that was done as part of my pre-filed direct testimony.
Alternate routes or undergrounding?
It was alternate routes, but it included undergrounding options along the different segments of the project as alternatives to construct the project as scoped to us.
Okay, and you conducted the alternative routing study, correct?
That is correct, yes.
But you did not conduct the undergrounding? That was done by a consultant, is that correct?
So I conducted the initial undergrounding study that was referenced in RPM-1 along with the remainder of the route study, but then we contracted for a more enhanced route study, underground alternative study for the Grayson Batavia project that was referenced in the data request.
Okay, and do you recall the conclusion of that study?
In both studies, it was concluded that it was not the most optimal way of building the Grayson to Batavia double circuit project due to cost. There were alternatives, or there were options in the contracted study that included either a 3 cable per phase or 4 cable per phase construction, and the 3 cable per phase construction needed even more space in some of the trenchless installations. Future maintenance cost was going to be extremely high for the underground segment, as well as very problematic to obtain the outages to do it. I believe there was a schedule that was included in that for maintenance of that line as well.
And sticking with undergrounding, Judge Grace at one point asked you about specific community undergrounding, you know, particular portions of the right-of-way in the project. Why is that not something, or is that something that the company considered, and if not, why not?
Well, as I said earlier, it was something that was considered during our evaluation in specifically addressing some of the public comments. It was not considered any further than at the time because of the extreme high cost associated with it. And as I had mentioned before in my testimony, the areas that were needed for the transitions from overhead to underground presented even more of a challenge with obtaining the property for those transition points, wherever they may be and however many of them we may need. There are also some technical reasons that we don't want to convert from overhead to underground and back to overhead. And those get into things like fault locating, should the line operate, trying to isolate which or identify which segment of the line operated, and providing the ability to potentially reclose the line so that the line may only see a momentary outage. It's something we would do on an overhead system, but not with underground involved, for the potential to further damage the underground segment if that was where the fault occurred. So for these numerous reasons, undergrounding was not preferred either for the whole line or for individual segments.
And those last several examples you mentioned there, would those be associated with reliability concerns?
Yes, they definitely could be associated with reliability concerns, because if we do have damage on the underground cable system, it takes a long time to repair it.
Okay, thank you. One more topic. There was some discussion with Judge Grace about wildfire potential. I think I heard a question or a statement about additional voltage increasing fire risk. Is it your understanding that additional voltage in and of itself would be enhanced fire risk?
No, I don't believe voltage has anything to do with it.
Okay. Are you familiar with the series of wildfires that took place out in the western United States?
I'm familiar with them to some extent, yes.
Is it your understanding that that may be a driver for some of the community concerns?
Yes, I definitely believe that's the driver.
Are you familiar with some of the causes that were attributed to the fires in California in recent years?
Yes, I can't speak to specifics of the individual fires, but in general, they were attributed to poor vegetation management and poor asset management as well. I believe one of them was caused by a conductor that failed due to worn hardware.
So that would be under the category of asset infrastructure. You mentioned that word.
Yes.
Or that wording. So is it your understanding that BGE would have the same asset infrastructure concerns that maybe the utilities in the West had?
No, in looking at the cause of the hardware failure out west, we're not using any of that type of hardware in this project, or we've not used it in any recent projects at all.
And then in terms of, you mentioned vegetation at one point, does Maryland have the same type of vegetation as, say, California?
No, definitely not.
What are some of the differences?
Well, for one, we have much moister climate, so I don't believe that the vegetation that grows here is subjected to the drying out that it would be in the Pacific Northwest, for example, due to some of the winds that they experience. But in general, I mean, it's a different environment altogether, so it's different tree species, different grasses.
You mentioned winds. Do we have the same types of winds in Maryland as they do in California, for example?
No, we don't have the experiences of things like the Santa Ana winds, where they are extremely dry winds coming over the mountains. Our wind exposure is mostly due to hurricanes, and even then they'd need to be targeting the mid-Atlantic area, which is not the most common area for hurricanes, based on my experience.
Okay, thank you. Let me just check, Your Honor, to see if I have anything else.
Do you want to ask him how often you do maintenance checks on the lines? With your impression, he does it every 5 years, but I think it's more frequent.
Just one more question, Your Honor. At some point, I believe there was a conversation regarding the maintenance on the lines. Do you happen to know how often BGE does maintenance checks on its overhead transmission lines?
Yes.
And what frequency would that be?
We have multiple inspection cycles. We perform a comprehensive visual inspection that's done by the air on a 5-year cycle across our system, nominally targeting 20% of the system every year. Offset to that, we have a similar 5-year ground patrol inspection where our crews drive the rights of way or walk into the structures and assess them from the ground. It's the same 20% per year over 5 years, but those two cycles are offset from each other, such that we're on site every 2 to 3 years on a particular line. We have an annual thermovision and aerial inspection where we go out and perform thermovision analysis of all of our structures and hardware. That's done annually, as I said. And then prior to the commissioning of a project, we have a full comprehensive inspection of the newly constructed assets to make sure that they've been built to our construction standards and requirements.
So are you talking about landscape maintenance and infrastructure maintenance, both?
That response was particular to infrastructure maintenance.
Thank you.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Has BGE contacted the local fire departments along the right-of-way?
I'm not sure about our communications specifically, no.
Thank you. Thank you for your appearance this morning. You can be released.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I think we are completed with our lineup of witnesses for our case in chief.
Okay.
Well, except for Dr. Dopard, who was only available tomorrow. So she will be taking the stand tomorrow.
Is BGE going to call Tim Schneid?
We can, if Your Honor feels we need to authenticate the easements, but we already, as part of the exhibit list, the statutory parties already agreed to the admissibility of the easement
Okay.
documents. So he's available, but we didn't think we had to call him at this point.
Okay. The next witness on the schedule is PPRP witness Rogers and PPRP witness Hoyt adopting Austria testimony. It's noon. Do the parties want to take a short break? Do the parties want to take a long break? We only have 2 more witnesses for today. Any requests?
Your Honor, I was looking to cross-examine Tim on the easement right away and the languages in the easements.
BGE?
Yeah, it's our option on what witnesses we want to put up for our case, and we're electing not to bring Mr. Schneid for our case in chief.
Yeah, BGE has indicated they're not going to call Mr. Schneid.
Then I'd like to recall one of the other BG witnesses because we did not know that was not going to happen, and we would like to have our easement language put into the record and communicated. So,
Okay.
and none of the other BG people said that they knew about the easements that we know about with any of the testimony that they've given.
So you're going to get a chance to put in your easement documents at a later time, and it's up to the company to call their own witnesses.
I understand that. Then I'd like to recall one of the BG witnesses that has any knowledge of the easements. None of that was in their testimony or rebuttal testimony, so there's no way for me to know that they had that knowledge.
Okay, that request is denied.
Okay.
PPRP, do you want to call? Well, I'm sorry. Sierra Club, do you have any witnesses?
We do not.
Okay. PPRP, do you want to call your first witness?
Could we have a short break at least, Your
Yeah.
Honor?
Let's go off the record for 10 minutes. We'll come back around 12:20. Yeah. Oh, I gave you a witness list. I left it right there. Oh, actually, I didn't. Wait, hold on. I brought one for you. Yeah. Everyone remember to turn your mics on. I didn't remember to turn mine on. We can go back on the record. Our procedural schedule's a little wonky, so BGE's not rested, but PPRP can call its first witness.
Would you like me to go ahead and enter my exhibits first?
Oh, sure, yes, absolutely, thank you.
Your Honor, our first PPRP Exhibit 1 is the direct testimony of Jenny Rogers, the public version of it, which was filed March 14th, 2025, under the mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 1C is the direct testimony of Jenny Rogers, the confidential version, also filed March 14th on 2025, mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 2 is a secretarial letter dated March 14th, 2025, also filed March 14th, 2025, under mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 3 is the initial recommended license conditions, filed March 14th, 2025, mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 3C, also filed under mail log number 316778, is the initial recommended license conditions, the confidential version, filed March 14th, 2025. PPRP Exhibit 4 is the PPRP Project Assessment Report, the public version, filed March 14, 2025, mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 4C is the PPRP Project Assessment Report confidential version, filed March 14th, 2025, also under mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit 5, Parts 1, 2, and 3 are the applicant responses to selected PPRP data requests. They are also filed March 14th, 2025, under mail log number 316778. PPRP Exhibit C is the Appendix A applicant responses to selected PPRP data requests that are confidential. That's mail log number 316778, also filed March 14, 2025. PPRP Exhibit 6 is the PAR Appendix B, the Environmental Issues Matrix, filed March 14, 2025, mail log number 316778. And PPRP Exhibit 7 is the PAR Appendix C, which is some various areas of the PPRP website, which was filed March 14, 2025, mail log number 316778. The PPRP Exhibit A is PAR Appendix D, Environmental Justice Report. It's mail log number 316778, filed on March 14, 2025. PPRP Exhibit 9 is PAR Appendix E, Select Emails, also filed March 14, 2025, under mail log number 316778. And finally, PPRP Exhibit 10, direct testimony of Rick R. Austria, which has been adopted by Matthew Hoyt, which was filed March 14, 2025, mail log number 316778. And then on May 8, 2025, mail log number 318703, PPRP 12 through 14th are filed, and those include the supplemental testimony of Jenny Rogers is Exhibit 12. PPRP Exhibit 12A is the supplemental testimony of Jenny Rogers. Attachment A. PPRP Exhibit 12B is a supplemental testimony of Jenny Rogers. Attachment B. PPRP 12C is the supplemental testimony of Jenny Rogers. Attachment C. PPRP. I apologize, Your Honor. Those were 11. PPRP Exhibits 11 was the supplemental testimony. 11A was the Attachment A. 11B is Attachment B, and 11C is Attachment C.
Okay.
And then PPRP Exhibit 12 is the revised recommended license conditions, the clean copy. and its public version of it. And PPRP Exhibit 13C is the revised recommended license conditions, the public version, the red line copy. PPRP Exhibit 14 is the revised recommended license conditions, the clean copy confidential. PPRP Exhibit 14C is the revised recommended license conditions confidential, the red line copy. And then on PPRP 15 is the rebuttal testimony of Rick R. Austria, the public version, which also has been adopted by Matthew Hoyt. It was filed May 16, 2025, mail log number 318929. PPRP 15C is a rebuttal testimony of Rick R. Austria, the confidential version, also filed May 16, 2025, mail log number 318929. PPRP Exhibit 16 is the surrebuttal testimony of Jenny Rogers, filed June 13, 2025, the public version, mail log number 319608. PPRP 16C is a surrebuttal testimony of Jenny Rogers, the confidential version, filed June 13, 2025, mail log number 319608. PPRP Exhibit 17 is the revised recommended license conditions, the public version, the clean copy. It was filed June 13, 2025, and mail log number 319608. PPRP Exhibit 17C is the revised recommended license conditions, filed June 13 as well, 2025 as well, mail log number 319608. PPRP Exhibit 18 is the revised recommended license conditions, the public version, the red line copy, filed June 13, 2025, mail log number 319608. PPRP Exhibit 18C is the revised recommended license conditions, the confidential version, red line copy, filed June 13, 2025, under mail log number 319608. PPRP Exhibit 19 is the revised recommended license conditions that was filed October 10th, 2025, the confidential version, and the public version, a clean copy, and PPRP Exhibit 18C is the revised recommended license conditions, the confidential version, clean copy. It was filed on October 10, 2025, under mail log number 319608. This copy was also filed as part of BGE's filing on August 28, 2025.
And is that 19C?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And so 19 and 19C are the clean copy. and-
October 10th.
Right, October 10th. And PPRP Exhibit 20 and 20C is the confidential version of the revised recommended license conditions, which was filed October 10, 2025, under mail log number 319608. And once again, they were also filed as part of BGE's filing on August 28, 2025.
20 and 20C are the redlined public and confidential
Right.
October 10th revised recommended license conditions, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And then finally, PPRP Exhibit 21 is the direct testimony of Matthew Hoyt adopting the pre-filed testimonies of Rick R. Austria, and it also was filed October 10, 2025, under mail log number 319608.
PPRP exhibits 1 through 21 and confidential versions are marked. Is there any objection to their admittance at this time?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
PPRP exhibits 1 through 21 are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And at this time, I'd like to call my first witness, Jenny Rogers.
Yes, ma'am. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You can have a seat. Can you state your name for the record and how you're employed?
My name is Ginny Rogers, and I am a power plant siting assessor at the Power Plant Research Program at the Maryland Department of Natural Resources.
Thank you. Your witness.
Your Honor, we have no direct, and her pre-filed testimony has already been adopted, so she's ready for cross.
Thank you. Cross from BGE,
No cross, Your Honor.
Sierra Club,
No cross.
combined limited participants.
No cross, Your Honor.
Counsel, will you go to the podium and enter your appearance, please?
Pardon me?
Will you go to the podium and enter your appearance, please?
Neil Baruti, representing the limited interveners, the Zinks, the Von Parises, and Ms. Oliver Conover.
Okay. And you indicated that you have no cross of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
I announced before, but you weren't here. If you want something to go onto the record, you're going to have to speak into that microphone.
I do have two exhibits that I'd like to have introduced.
With regards to this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. We can do that after we can introduce the other exhibits of the remaining parties after PPRP's two witnesses.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any cross-examination by Lester Schott, the Rosalie Schott Living Trust, Jonathan Gunter,
No, Your Honor.
David Button, OPC,
No cross, Your Honor.
staff.
Staff has no questions for this witness. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't have a lot of questions.
Okay, good.
So this is a very long project. In your direct, I think at page 10, you quote the PAR as the right-of-way crossing 99 streams, 133 non-tidal wetlands, 17 tidal wetlands. It's a long project. So you propose conditions: 1, water quality. This is about streams, rivers, and watersheds. 1, water quality. 2, stream protections. 3, tier 2 waters. 4, vegetation management. 5, these are not your numberings. Wildlife protection, erosion and sediment control, construction disturbance, and remediation. You propose 7 license conditions having to do with water. Do you believe that these license conditions, as contained in PPRP Exhibit 19, which is the final license conditions, adequately address potential effects of the project?
I do.
In your direct testimony, at page 2, you say, as set forth in the secretarial letter, the secretaries of DNR and MDE, with consultation with the reviewing state agencies, are recommending that the PSC approve the Brandon Shores Retirement Mitigation Project. Is that your testimony today?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Have you seen the secretarial letter?
I do. I don't have a copy of it.
I don't think I do either, but I pulled it up on my computer, if it will turn on. The language in the secretarial letter says, based on our review of the application and associated environmental information available to date, we have concluded that the construction and operation plans submitted meet all applicable cultural and environmental regulations, provided that the attached recommendations are incorporated as conditions to the CPCN. Doesn't say anywhere in there that they're recommending approval of the project, but that's your understanding and that's your testimony
That is
today.
my understanding, yes.
In your direct at page 19, you say that BGE has not yet submitted to the Chesapeake Bay critical area. And then in your rebuttal, you say discussions are ongoing. Condition 9 might change. What's the update on that?
So the condition did change, and in PPRP exhibit, I believe 19, there's been a lot of versions of these conditions.
Yeah.
We did update the critical area condition.
Okay.
Upon receipt of, information from the critical area.
Okay, so that's the red line of that. Okay. So, okay. I'll just ask generally, instead of asking specific questions and making this longer than necessary. Your testimony talks about some of the more serious issues, and it divides it. Your testimony is divided by first the streams, rivers, watersheds, then non-tidal wetlands and floodplains, then tidal wetlands, critical area, wildlife. For each of those subject matters, do you believe that PPRP Exhibit 19, the final license conditions, sufficiently address potential effects and mitigate the disturbance of this project?
I do.
I think there's some tree removal at one of the substations, the Solly Road, Solly substation. Is that deforestation? Is there some sort of mitigation needed for that?
If there is mitigation needed for it, they would go through, I think that's, no, it's Anne Arundel County, excuse me. They would go through Anne Arundel County and work with them regarding mitigation.
Okay. Do you have concerns about vegetation management in the right-of-way and wildfires?
I do not. As Mr. May stated, Maryland is very different than California, and we're not under severe drought conditions. Our climate is different. Our vegetation is different. I do not think, I know that there was some disagreement about 3 inches of mowing versus 6 inches of mowing. I don't think that 3 inches of difference is going to suddenly cause more increased wildfire concerns.
But it is a big difference for the ground nesting birds.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So you got away the birds with the people.
Sorry, just give me 1 minute.
No, it's okay.
I have lots of notes. I don't have any further questions. Do you have any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony this morning, Ms.
Thank
Rogers.
you.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
She can be released.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Our next witness is Matthew Hoyt.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You can have a seat. Can you state your full name, please?
Matthew Hoyt.
And how are you employed?
I'm a principal consultant at Exeter Associates working on behalf of PPRP.
Thank you. Your witness.
As the direct and sole rebuttal testimonies of Rick R. Austria, which Matthew Hoyt is adopting, has already been put into the record, and as well as the direct testimony of Matthew Hoyt. So at this time, there is no direct. The witness is available for cross.
Any cross from BGE?
No cross, Your Honor.
Sierra Club?
No cross, Your Honor.
Combined limited participants?
No cross.
Lester Schott? Rosalie Schott Living Trust? Jonathan Gunter?
No cross.
David Button? OPC?
No cross, Your Honor.
Staff?
Staff has no questions. Thank you.
Okay, give me just one moment. I need to find the testimony that I want to refer to.
Sure.
So, in the rebuttal testimony that you're sponsoring, there's a statement on page 7, lines 8 through 13, that says the overloads are on 115 kilovolt circuits and of relatively small magnitude, implying that the immediate need for 2025 conditions may be addressed with comparatively less expensive solutions than the project. However, later in testimony it says on page 10, line 23, yes, I recommend approval of the CPCN for the project due to its demonstrated effectiveness in resolving reliability issues and the urgency of replacing the costly reliability must-run RMR contract. So what the statement on page 7, what is that regarding? That observation.
So the basis of this observation is a power flow model developed using the original 2022 RTEP case and 2025 summer conditions. And the evaluation conclusions are my assessment of the outcomes of the reliability violations specifically noted in this quote. And you'll have to forgive me, I have a confidential version, I have a non-confidential version here, so I don't want to cite any confidential matters by mistake here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So at page 10 and going on into page 11, after the testimony is, I recommend approval, there's a however statement. And the however statement says, on behalf of PPRP, I have the, this notebook has the non-confidential version, so I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Great.
However, on behalf of PPRP, I would recommend that the Commission consider conditioning approval on requiring BGE to quantify the proposed project's excess capacity above and beyond that needed to resolve the reliability issues in terms of long-term benefits to customers in Maryland. So the question, I guess, is PPRP's later agreement with OPC and BGE, does that satisfy that, however?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Why is it not? Why is your approval of the project not conditioned upon having that information now, as opposed to after the CPCN is granted, if it should be granted?
I'll reiterate, I think, points made in the original testimony that there's a variety of considerations at play, including the cost of the existing RMR, the severity of the observed thermal and voltage issues on the system. Our evaluation and consultation with our attorneys is that that there's a need to move forward with the project using the proposed alternative with the availability of this information at a later date to support the state's needs for this additional evaluation that's discussed in my testimony.
What does what do those evaluations at a later date do?
They'll support a variety of state objectives, so state of Maryland objectives, and understanding the needs of the system, of Maryland systems, existing systems, in the face of a variety of challenges facing the grid today. Without maybe enumerating all of them, I think folks are generally well aware of challenges with increasing loads in the system, declining availability of capacity due to interconnection queue issues, constraints on our system due to different types of resources, variable resources operating with different load profiles. So having this information facilitates the state's assessments of viable paths in the future with those challenges in mind.
Okay, the statement on page 10 says, I would recommend that the Commission consider conditioning approval on requiring this quantification. So that's a change of pace for PPRP there. You're saying now, you were saying then that you wanted these studies first, and now you're saying it's okay to have these studies later. It's about future projects. Do I have that right?
I think you could interpret the original statements a little bit differently than you're stating. So
Okay.
conditioning approval on the availability of this information, I think the outstanding question is the appropriate timing for that information. So I'm of the opinion that having that information available subsequent to approval is acceptable.
So the information isn't about this project at all because you see the need for this project based on the information you already have.
It's relevant to this project, so this project precipitates the need for the information on a going forward basis.
I don't have any further questions for this witness. Do you have any follow-up?
No redirect, Your Honor.
You can be released. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, those are the witnesses that we have scheduled for today, but we have other matters that we need to take up. We have the testimony of OPCN staff and the limited participants, and Mr. Gunter, who's here today. We can go ahead and introduce that evidence today to make tomorrow a little shorter. Also, I have some questions for counsel about the agreement between PPRP, OPC, and BGE. I don't know if we need to go into confidential session for that. I'm still unclear as to why that additional attachment is confidential. So let's go ahead and take up, we'll start with the introduction of OPC evidence, and then staff, and then the limited participants, and then Mr. Gunter, and then I'll ask some questions about that agreement, if that's okay. Does anybody else have anything that you want to take up this afternoon?
Sounds good to us, Your Honor.
Okay, OPC?
Your Honor, just wondering if we want to take a lunch break before we...
I don't think this is going to take long. I want to push through if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine with me, Your Honor. Thank you. So we just have one exhibit, it's the direct testimony of P. Jeffrey Palermo. And I think all parties have agreed to stipulate to the admission of that exhibit, and I offer it for admission into the record.
Any objection? Is
No, Your Honor.
Is any party going to have questions for Mr. Palermo? Okay, give me just 1 second. I have just a couple of questions for Mr. Palermo. I could proceed by bench data request, or if his travel arrangements have already been made, I'll leave that up to you. You can reply to all the parties on a email to let us know.
Okay, Your Honor. Mr. Palermo, he's prepared to be here in person tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So if you would, we're happy to do a bench data request, but he will also be here tomorrow morning, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Okay. OPC Exhibit 1 is admitted. Staff?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff has one exhibit, the direct testimony of Christopher Lowell, dated March 14, 2025, filed as mail log number 316801, and I'd like to move that it be entered into the administrative record.
Any objection?
No objection.
No.
No objection.
Staff Exhibit 1 is admitted. Does anyone have any questions for Staff Witness Lowe?
BGE has no questions.
PPRP has none either.
No questions from OPC.
There is no need for Staff Witness Lowe to testify.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Limited participants. Will you approach the podium?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have items that you want to introduce into the
Yes,
record?
Your Honor. We had submitted the deeds associated with the easements, but I believe that Mr. Sneed, on behalf of BGE, has already included those deeds in his affidavit, which is BGE Exhibit 6?
He has, yes, and those have been admitted into the record. I asked BGE if they had had an opportunity to take a look at the deeds of the limited participants and some of the other parties and compare them with the deeds that were taken, directly from records. And they indicated that there were no differences other than that some of the deeds from some of the other parties were cut off. So you're welcome to introduce them if you want, or you're welcome, they're already in the record.
Yeah, with the understanding that the exhibits from BGE are accurate and complete vis-a-vis ours, then I have no problem using their exhibit
Okay.
in my closing argument.
Counsel, remind me what exhibit number that is?
6, Your Honor.
That's exhibit 6.
I have a copy for opposing counsel if you would like.
Do you need a copy?
Yeah, I would like a copy. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
I have 2 more exhibits that I'd like to have introduced, Your Honor, and we've identified them in our pre-hearing submission. One is the letter from BGE dated March 24th, 2025. It was pre-filed by Mr. Kakuka in one of his filings as Exhibit F, and I've identified it in my pre-hearing submission.
So, okay, was that attached to an email from you on Friday?
That was referred to in my email since it was pre-filed by Mr. Kakuka in one of his papers that he had filed. But I have copies here.
Do you,
If you,
okay. Do you have copies for all the parties?
I have several. I don't know if I have enough, but hopefully BG&E has a copy of their own letter.
Do you know what date it was pre-filed? Or in what filing?
Yes, I referred to that in the email. The letter was filed as part of comment number 5525.
In the public comments?
Yes, I don't have the date, unfortunately.
Okay, hang on a second.
I do have the date. April 30, 2025.
Okay. There are several letters and other attachments to that filing.
Yes, I believe it's the last attachment labeled Exhibit 5.
This is a letter dated March 24th, 2025 to BGE customer at 11611 Franklinville Road. From BGE, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, Your Honor, it is relevant to my oral argument regarding electrical transmission line, and the fact that it's my understanding this is the first notice from BG&E that their intention is to install a new electrical transmission line.
Any objection?
Objection. Your Honor, your direction to the limited interveners was that they are allowed to submit their easement documents. This is not an easement document, so I object to its submission.
Okay, aside from my direction, any other purpose of the reason for the objection?
An additional objection I have would be it really doesn't complete the record. It's been characterized as, first of all, I object to the characterization of it. It is not the first time that BGE discussed the full scope of this project, so I object to the characterization. Secondly, it is one document of many documents and other efforts that BGE made to explain and fully disclose the scope of this project to the public. And so if it is admitted, I would request the right to submit additional documentation of BGE's communications about this project in order to create a fuller record than what would be the case if you were only to admit this single document that the limited interveners have decided to identify. And I have those documents that I'd want to submit into the record available. I might have to bring up a witness to authenticate them.
Okay. So this document is in public comment. It wasn't submitted into the record. But absolutely, counsel, you can refer to the document in your oral argument. I'm not sure that it needs to be in the record. That being said, I don't see any harm in introducing it into the record, but we are opening a can of worms, and you would be allowed to introduce, I guess, other letters to rebut that statement. Do you want it in the record, or do you want to refer to it in your oral argument from the public record?
Your Honor, if there's another correspondence from BG&E that predates this, that identifies their intention to build a second or new line, I have no objection to that.
Okay,
I believe
so,
that's,
do you have an extra copy for me, sir?
of course, yeah.
So, I'm going to go ahead and admit the March 24th letter into the record. We're gonna identify that as limited participant 1.
You want me to approach?
Yes, please. Does any party need a copy of that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. You said there were multiple documents.
Yeah, there's a
What's next?
Yeah, the second set of documents would be another cumulative exhibit, and that's 3 photographs that were pre-filed also by Mr. Kukuka under, I believe it's mail log 321-986 on September 2nd, 2025. And these are 3 photographs of the towers during the period 2013, 19, and 23. These are all public records, easily accessible on the internet. I thought there would already be somewhere in the record, but I didn't see any submitted by BG&E, so I thought it'd be helpful for oral argument for Your Honor to visually see what we're talking about in terms of construction on these rights-of-way.
Counsel, tell me again the mail log number and the date.
Mail log 321-986, dated September 2nd, 2025. The document is titled BG's Pattern of Legal Hedging, Procedural Evasion, and Due Process Violations. And this would be Exhibit B.
So there is nothing in the docket under that mail log number, nor under that filing date. I suspect that it may be in public comment. but there are a lot of public comments under that name, so I'm not sure how best to find that. Give me a second.
Yeah, all I have is the mail log number and an actual copy of the filing.
Any objection?
Yes, objections. Yeah, we object to this for the reasons I articulated before. This is not an easement agreement, nor has a foundation been laid for it. I have no idea who took this picture, where this picture was taken, whether it has anything to do with any of the clients that are represented here with respect to their easement rights. So additionally, it was included as an attachment to a document filed by Dr. Kukuka, and Dr. Kukuka is purported to represent people in the case in violation of commission regulations, and has been, many of those have been stricken from the record, and so I think it's inappropriate for that additional basis to introduce this one.
Sustained.
That's the only other exhibit I have, Your Honor, is the public records that are found on the internet.
Okay. Sierra Club, do you have any exhibits?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any exhibits for Lester Schott? Any exhibits for the Rosalie Schott Living Trust? Jonathan Gunter?
So the first exhibit is going to be the deed for my land, which was produced, I believe, mail log 322925, October 2nd. That references a plat that was also in that same mail log. Both can be found on public records. The plat that is referenced in the deed also references easement, which was also put into as an exhibit, I believe, on the same mail log. Which I am putting in because that does not match up with what BGE put in. So that does need to be entered.
Okay, so under that mail log, 322997, there are three documents.
322925.
322925. There are three documents: Gunter deed, easement for document for Wild Orchid, and MSA C 2442-13921 Wildwood Plat. Do you want all of those documents entered?
Yes.
Okay, do you want them entered collectively?
That's fine, or they could be individually. They support to each document. So the deed supports to the plat, and the plat should support to the easement if I put the easement in correctly. I think I might have put the easement in incorrectly and updated it in mail log 323059.
Okay, so my suggestion would be for you to mark everything in the first mail log number, 322925, as Gunter Exhibit 1, and everything in 323059 as Gunter Exhibit 2. Is that fair?
It's fair. I just need to figure it out. I apologize. I'm not as up on how these procedures work, so I just had to figure it out. But I should be able to figure that out for you.
Okay.
I also have copies of them right here, so I can bring them up.
Okay.
If that works.
I actually have copies. Any objection?
Your Honor, as I stated, BGE's records that it has produced are the appropriate and complete easement agreements that are relevant to the contested issues here. As I indicated at the opening of this proceeding, some of the interveners have filed documents that are the same as what we've identified, but incomplete. In addition to that, some of the interveners, like Mr. Gunter, has identified some additional documents that he thinks supports his claims with respect to his property rights that are in addition to what we've produced. BGE thinks that those documents are not relevant nor to the issues here, but I will submit their admission with that.
Okay, the objection is overruled and the Gunter documents will be admitted. Gunter Exhibit 1 will be the documents filed on October 2nd under mail log 322925. And Gunter Exhibit 2 will be the document, it's just one document, filed on October the 8th under mail log number 323059.
I have additional documents that were emailed to you over. That is the deeds of record through the time frame deck to 1967. Following those deeds, you will see the easement that I put into exhibit that was just sent into record. The deeds all point to that easement that is now into record that was put in for me. That is an email I sent recently. It should have been brought to you. And then I also have a letter dated July 2010, which has BGE referencing that easement that was just entered into record underneath my name.
Okay, so I'm not texting anyone. I got signed out on my email, so I gotta get signed back in. Two-factor authentication, so just give me a second. Okay, Mr. Gunter, you sent an email on October the 12th, Sunday, October the 12th, at 9:17 p.m., and there are 5 documents attached to that.
Correct. There are deeds that state back from my purchase of the land all the way back to the 1967 deed. That's 4 of the documents. The other document is a letter from BGE dated July 2010.
Okay. Any objection?
I won't repeat my caveats. I'm not objecting. I stated for the record our view is to those documents, but I'm not objecting to their admission.
Okay. And you said you have copies of these 5 documents?
I do. They're right here.
Can you approach, please?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you. These are copies I can keep for the record?
Absolutely.
Okay, counsel, I just received copies. There's highlights. Does anyone want to take a look at the copies that I'm gonna put into evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can approach. Yep. While BGE is taking a look at that those documents, I will note that this is for council for the limited participants. Mail log number 321986 was one of the mail logs, the associated information that was dismissed along with a formal complaint of Dr. Kuka in the commission order. So that's why it doesn't appear in the docket.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the photograph.
Hang on a second. I'll give you another opportunity.
I have one more mail log. I believe it was 323060. It's the updated easement of land records, page folio 221-523. I entered the one before it by accident. That's why I re-entered the exhibit. It should say easement update. I do have the
Did you
copy.
say mail log 323060?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. 323060 is original plat with file 61-H-102.
Okay. One of them says updated easement, just to make sure that it was in record. If not, I do have the document here. I just want to make sure that it's not the page before by accident.
Any objection?
Your Honor, can we clarify whether or not we have inadvertently entered an exhibit into evidence that Mr. Gunter did not intend to enter? Because he just mentioned that he originally put or filed the wrong document, and I think we have entered those documents into the evidentiary record.
Okay.
That'd be the mail logs. One of the mail logs.
And Your Honor, just for the sake of the record, this is part of the company's concern with introducing documents beyond the particular easement documents that we entered. Is that
And I'll reiterate that BGE did not enter all records into it.
Oh, okay. We're not going to argue back and forth. That's not how this works.
Thank
This
you.
is not that kind of court. Okay. We are going to rewind, and I'm going to reverse myself on the numbering of these exhibits. So, Mr. Gunter, I have a Gunter deed PDF that says it has red on the side. It says printed October 1st, 2025.
Mhm.
And that deed was filed on October 2nd under mail log number 322925.
Correct.
Is that a deed you want in the record?
Yes.
Okay. The document entitled gunterdeed.pdf, filed on October 2nd, 2025, under mail log number 322925, is Gunter Exhibit 1. Gunter Exhibit 2 is the easement document for Wild Orchid .pdf document filed on October 2nd, 2025 under mail log number 322925. This is, I'm just marking these exhibits at this point, and I'll give you another opportunity to object to whichever one you want to object to. Gunter Exhibit 3 is the document filed on October 2nd, 2025 under mail log number 322925. And the title of the document is MSA, subscript C2442, subscript 13921, wildwoodplat.pdf. Mr. Gunter, all of those are ones that you want into the record, right?
Gunter 2 is the easement. I believe they're on the either ML323059 or ML323060. There is an updated easement. It will actually say easement updated. And that would be the one I would want on record.
It says easement updated in the title, or it's been written on there somewhere.
It's in the title. It should say easement update as part of the title.
Okay, there is no title under mail log number 323059 or 323060.
Okay. No, I meant
There
the.
is an easement there, but it's not updated.
I have the actual easement documentation here. If you'd like to put it in the record, it's one of those two. I apologize. I do not know which one it is. But I do have the copy of it right here.
And what is the difference between the first one and the second one?
The first one states the page before, because the way land records have been back in 1931, they just kind of kept going through the pages, and I accidentally started the page earlier instead of the page on 523. So I do have 523 and 524, which is the easement in question.
Okay. I'm going to mark as Gunter Exhibit 4 the filing under mail log number 323059 on October 8th, and the title is Easement Document for Wild Orchid Updated. And then I'm going to mark as Gunter Exhibit 5 the document filed under mail log number 323060 on October 8th. And entitled Original Plat with File 61-H-102.pdf. That's going to be Gunter Exhibit 5. So those 5 are marked. Those are the only 5 that were pre-filed in the docket. So, objections?
Well, Your Honor, just to clarify, Gunter Exhibit 2, or what was at least previously marked as Gunter Exhibit 2, which he just indicated was not what he intended to submit, is that still in the record?
I've marked 1 through 5, and 1 through 5 are the documents that were filed in the docket. So I'm asking about objections to their admission at this time.
We're going to object to number 2 since apparently that's been described as an incorrect document, so we're objecting to its admission into the record.
Okay, I'm going to leave 1 through 5 in the record. Anything else?
And the additional documents are in the record as well that we described at the end. So that would that be Gunter 6, which is the deeds and the letter?
Oh, from the email?
Yes. I want to make sure that they are in the record.
I haven't addressed those yet. Hang on just a second. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Gunter Exhibit 6. There was an email to all of the parties and the limited participants on Sunday, October 12th at 9:17 p.m. And the email was from Mr. Gunter, and there are 5 documents attached. Deed 2003, Deed 1981, BGE Letter 2010, Deed 1999, and Deed 1998. I'm going to mark those as Gunter Exhibit 6. Hang on just a second. Any objection?
Your Honor, the 2010 letter, I believe, was already part of the, was that not marked and admitted already, or is there two 2010 letters that are being attempted to be admitted into evidence here?
The 2010 letter, oh, man.
I have not put that into record anywhere, so that is mine.
Oh, I believe you may have brought these to you.
Yeah, these are the ones that you just looked at.
Okay.
It says 3 at the top, but I've changed that to 6. Sorry, I'm a disaster.
No problem. Yeah, no objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, could I just ask a question? I think there are highlights on the exhibits that
There
were
are.
presented to you, but I don't see any highlights on the PDFs.
Yeah, that's why I asked if any council wanted to take a look at and BGE took a look at it with the highlights.
Okay, I just want to make sure I know what we'd be referring to if we were to
Yeah,
cite it.
these are the same documents that were in the email. Would you like to take a look at the highlights?
No, I'm okay, Your Honor. Thank you.
And Your Honor, the highlights were only for today because of information from me in the original documents that were emailed to you. There is no highlights.
Okay, so Gunter Exhibit 6 is the documents contained in the October 12th email. Gunter Exhibits 1 through 6 are admitted. Mr. Gunter, anything else?
Not at the moment, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else any of the other parties have anything that they want to take up today before I ask some questions about the agreement?
My only request, Your Honor, was just to clarify that with the admission of the March 25 letter, I had requested an opportunity to complete since it's been admitted into evidence, an opportunity to submit some additional related exhibits into evidence. May I do that?
You want to do that now? You have them already?
Might need a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Also,
Do you want to go ahead and approach the podium?
Your Honor, my name is Marianne Lasanti, and I just wanted to let you know that Mr. Button had communicated, I believe, with you on October the 10th that he was unable to change his travel arrangements. Will be here tomorrow. I think he has submitted the exhibits that he wanted to enter into the record.
Yeah, there are some limited participants who are not here today, and I was going to give them the opportunity tomorrow to introduce some evidence.
Thank you very much.
We're kind of just taking care of housekeeping matters right now.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, are you going to allow me to revisit the issue on the photographs, or have you already decided that they stay out?
The photographs were what was contained in 321986.
You had mentioned that the pleading had been stricken, and
Yeah.
that was why you ruled that they were not admitted. I believe that's what you told me.
No, that's not why I ruled, but the reason why I couldn't find that mail log number was because they had been stricken.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, I believe I said many had been stricken for the record.
No, I looked it up. That number has been
I
stricken.
know, I'm just clarifying what I had represented.
Okay. Okay.
Your Honor, may I just submit these to you and move they be admitted into the record, or do I need to authenticate these? Because the last one wasn't authenticated.
Well, do you have copies for the other parties?
Well, all of these they're already, I don't have copies for everybody here, but these documents have already been filed in this matter. These are attachments to BGE's motion, opposition to various motions to intervene.
The Omni.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I can give you the exact exhibits that I'm referencing that I would want moved into evidence that were attached to that motion. It was a motion filed, I believe, in August, and I can give you the details.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
I have it. No, that's fine. Actually, go ahead, give me the details.
Okay, it was filed on August 4th, 2025. It's, if you need a mail log number, I can give you that.
Sure.
321018.
Okay, so this is commission docket number 87, and it's entitled Well, the file is entitled Johnston CN 9748 BGE Omnibus Opposition Petitions, August 4th, 2025, with attachment 2. So these are in attachment 2.
Well, these are exhibits that were attached to the motion, to
Okay.
the opposition motion that I think you're referencing. And so,
Okay, that's fine. What number are we on for BGE exhibits?
that's a good question. We are on 21, I believe.
Yes. You can approach.
So I was thinking, there are 3 exhibits from that motion. You just mark it as one.
Yeah. Okay, BGE Exhibit 21 is being marked as, there are 3 exhibits to that motion under mail log number 321018 on August 4th, 2025. A, B, and C, marking those 3 collectively as BGE Exhibit 21.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move those to be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
Your Honor, may I see them? Unfortunately, I don't have an entirety of
I have a copy I can give to.
Great.
I understand these were mailed to the customers?
These were filed in the docket. In this case, on August 4th.
Your Honor, Exhibit B appears to be a letter, but it doesn't identify when it was sent or to whom.
You know,
If it's possible to get a foundation as to when this letter was sent and to whom?
The foundation, Your Honor, is set forth in the motion, or the opposition, rather, so
yeah, this was filed as an attachment to opposition of a motion of a petition to intervene, and it was directly addressed in that motion. Although I don't have that. I don't know if you have that information in front of you.
I can speak to it. It was, this is a copy of the July 2024 notification letter that was provided to adjacent property owners.
BG Exhibit 21 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, anyone else? All right. PPRP and OPC. What is the purpose of the post CPCN studies? And what if any teeth, if there's something that one of you doesn't like in that study, what if any teeth are there at that point?
Could you, what do you mean if we don't like?
Well, I mean, I guess let's just do this open-endedly. What is the purpose to requesting those studies? And what are you going to do with them? And what is the purpose of having them beyond this CPCN process?
There may be additional headroom after this project is constructed. And the state wants to understand how much, we believe it might be helpful to understand where that is and how much, given all the transmission, the projects that are coming on board now and all the issues that are ongoing. For example, the retirement of the different generation plants, and also the need for excess capacity, additional capacity on the lines. And so also there was legislation this last term that requested that state MEA specifically look at the capacity on the line. So this would be helpful to all of that. And the reason why is for timing. The reason why in this settlement we were okay with afterwards, because the incredible expenditure of funds for the RMR.
Okay, you see?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. So I think our witness in his direct testimony, he attempted to conduct a study based on the information he had available about the transfer capacity. And as BGE witness Ye earlier today noted, this project is set up to bring in power from outside of Maryland and bring it in. And so in addition to the information provided in the study would be additional information distinct from the reliability need, just to help us better understand the capabilities that this project provides and fully what customers are paying for, in addition to the reliability mitigation that the project serves.
Okay. Staff is not a party to that agreement, and staff is not one of the people listed as receiving those studies.
We were told that we could receive the same information.
So BGE will be sending that to staff as well?
Yes, Your Honor, we agreed to that.
Okay. Is that contained anywhere? Is that
I believe I
reduced to writing?
mentioned it in the letter that staff filed, not objecting to the settlement agreement.
That's correct. Mr. Dean made that representation in his own filing, and it's an accurate representation.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah, that was mail log 322609 on September 22nd.
And you don't need BGE to acknowledge that? That they agree?
We received their information in an email.
Okay.
Your Honor, also, I just want to reference on page 9 of the rebuttal testimony, on lines 2, it talks about the additional capacity on Rick Austria's testimony.
Yes.
So it talks to why we wanted to get the study, if that's helpful.
Yeah, the timing of this study is a little bit odd.
I understand it. Had this been more of if this had not been such a significant cost for ratepayers, it might have been a different type of timing. However, because of that, we were very cognizant of the need to get this in service.
I understand. So I asked earlier, so I kind of prefaced earlier that I was going to ask. I don't think that attachment C needs to be confidential. But I'm willing to listen to reasons why it needs to be. I'm not understanding what you've told me so far. Or I'm understanding, but I'm not finding it compelling.
Well, I'm happy to take this back to the company and discuss it with them, but I don't have much more to offer to you other than the explanation is that, well, let me begin with, BGE agreed to do this as part of a settlement. So we still, and in that settlement, as you've probably read, our position is that having to do the study is not needed as part of this CPCN proceeding. But in order to move past the disagreement we had with OPC and PPRP on that matter, we agreed to do this additional study, and also to help support their concerns and needs for planning in the state to the extent they think that that is going to be helpful. And so this arose out of that settlement agreement. The terms and conditions of the kind of study that was, it took a lot of negotiation between us and them to come up with there was a lot of different ideas about what kind of studies could be done or couldn't be done. And so I'd say we had several discussions that led to a final agreement as to the terms and types of studies that we would be willing to provide. And so because of that, it arose out of confidential settlement discussions, and the company wants to maintain that confidentiality for now, recognizing that once the CPCN is issued, and if it's issued, granting permission to build this project and incorporates the terms of the type of study that we've described in Exhibit C, that we're okay with it becoming public at that point.
On September 16th, there was public comment filed in this case by Senator Jennings. And on the second page, in the second full paragraph, it says, I'm going to read from this public comment. It is especially troubling that the study agreed upon by BGE as a condition of this agreement will only be conducted after the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, CPCN, is approved by the PSC. This undermines public confidence. My constituents deserve transparency and assurance that there is a genuine and immediate reliability crisis, not that this infrastructure is being justified by speculative future commercial needs. This is where I was referring to earlier. For instance, twice over the summer, BGE alerted customers to expect potential blackouts due to a strain on the grid. Those instances were not hot summer days where residents were blasting their air conditioning units. Instead, it has become increasingly clear that the spike in artificial intelligence usage is what deepens our energy crisis. So, not just for that reason, for my purposes, but also for that reason, I'm asking that you go back to your client and talk about the issue. Okay, tomorrow we no longer have Christopher Lowe, staff witness. We have BGE witness Pamela Dopart, OPC witness P. Jeffrey Palermo, BGE rejoinder if necessary, and oral argument from all parties. I also am going to give any parties who weren't here today the opportunity to introduce documents if they would like to. Is there anything else that I need to add to the plan for tomorrow?
Your Honor, I have a request for a point of clarification. Based on your order, it's my understanding that each of my clients have 10 minutes to argue in oral argument.
Oh, it was my understanding that you were arguing for your clients.
I am going to be arguing for each one of my clients. So my question is, do each one of my clients...
Oh, so you want 40 minutes for oral argument?
Well, I would. However, I will represent to the court that William and John Zink have similar interest as the Zink Trust. And so I can include both of them as a singular interested party, but I would like more than 10 minutes to make my oral arguments.
You know, I'm not going to set a timer, but I'm also not going to let it go on for hours and hours. So, you know, you need to do what you think is best, but I may cut you off at some point.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Parties should remember that there's a commission agenda starting here at 10. There's only, I think, 5 or 6 things on the docket, but I'm told that one of them may last about a half an hour, so we should be starting around 11, I would think. And I know that some parties aren't able to be here until after 12, but I think that will accommodate oral argument by everyone. I intend to finish this case tomorrow. I stay late, so I don't know. I don't think we'll run late, but it could happen, so plan accordingly. Does anybody have anything else that we need to take up today? Okay, thank you for your time today. We can go off the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, I think